Welcome to an all-new Blitz. I'm your host, Brian Carter. Good show on tap for you today. We're going to start the program here at Dawson County with head Tigers basketball coach Thad Burgess. Coach Burgess, as always, it's an honor and privilege to have you on Blitz, and I always appreciate your time.
Oh, this is something I look forward to every year.
I do too.
It seems like we're doing okay if you show up.
Yeah.
So you've been my good luck charm over the last several years, so I'm hoping you bring us some luck here as we finish out the rest of the way.
I hope it continues, Coach.
Right.
And a great season. You've had 15-4, 6-2, a couple hiccups within the region against White County and Buford, but a lot of people, including myself, even thought you guys might have a little bit of growing pains when you were unable to return any of your 5 starters.
Well, it's been one of those special years again. We lost a great group of young men last year that had been in the program the whole way through, and Tyler and Will and Cameron and Gunner and that group of kids that we had been starting for us for 3 years in a lot of the cases. And so we were starting almost from scratch this year, especially losing Jonathan Sanderson the first about a week before the season started, because he had been our starting point guard since he was a freshman. So that was a major blow. And then you're looking at some guys that really had never been in the fire, because we don't play very many guys here. We try to survive with about 6 or 7 players. So it was a brand new, scary experience. But these guys bought into what we were doing. I think it kind of, when you kind of got your program, hopefully it'll level. You expect, our guys expected to win from day one. Even when Jonathan went down, we didn't talk about it much, but we knew what we had to do, and we just had some great leadership from some of our seniors, and we've got a little confidence, but right now we're looking at 6 more games to go, and it's going to be a tight. This race will go right down to the wire, and then when the region tournament, it's going to be a big time 7 AAA tournament at the end.
Yeah. Now I'm glad you mentioned Jonathan, because that was your only returning starter from last year, and he was obviously a key part of going into the season. I'm sure the game plan centered on it. He kind of set the tempo for the offense and ran the point for you. You kind of mentioned a little bit, but what was your initial feelings as a team and as a coach when he goes down before the first game even gets underway?
Well, and when you lose a point guard, that's not just like losing a position player. You're losing so much of your team, and our offense is so dependent on the dribble drive and what he's able to do. So when he went out, it was like you didn't even want to think about it even happen. It took me about 2 or 3 weeks to even realize that he wasn't there, because I didn't even want to fathom what was going on. But he's such a great young man. He's probably been one of the best kids I've ever had as far as getting in the gym and working. He's been with us every single day. He's been at every practice. He's our captain. It's still been kind of our leader, and at times I'd go to him and say, Jonathan, I need you some, help me a little bit. Yeah. And we thought for sure we'd lost him because it was a bad situation with his leg, but he's back with us, and it's exciting. We've played, 18 games and able to get some experience with a couple other guys, and we think he's going to be able to help us the next couple of weeks.
Right.
We're excited to have him back. Yeah.
Right for the stretch run and everything. So. And that's great for him as a senior to get get back here at the end of the season, at least to get some playing time to close out his career. But I imagine, I believe one of your games I saw all you guys were wearing number 2.
Yeah, we had it. Actually, I put his number on there. We thought we'd lost him for the year, and he got in the weight room and did his therapy and got a couple of different doctors to look, and so last week they'd given the okay, so we kind of honored him with his number 2, but he's the only one that didn't have it on his back. So they asked me, they were joking the other night, said, can we take the 2 off our warm-ups now? So I said, we'll leave him on there. It's been good luck so far.
Yeah. All right, now let's talk about last year's group, just for a moment about them. Again, that was a group that very special for you, a senior group that won 72 games, region title, 3 state playoff appearances, and Elite 8 appearance as well. What does it take to build a senior group like that, and how far along are you in establishing a similar group now?
Well, we've just been very fortunate to have great kids. And most every kid that since I've been here, and especially that group, in the group I've got now, grew up in Dawson County. They went to elementary schools here. They played middle school basketball here. They've been a part of the program all of those years. And so when you have that kind of situation, it's maybe not quite as hard because they know what to expect. A lot of these kids grew up coming to the games when they were in middle school. This is my 11th year, so a lot of these guys were way down there in the elementary schools when I first got here. So it's maybe not quite as hard if you're in a different situation when you got a lot of transient folks moving in. Yeah. But I think expectations, kind of look around the room in our locker room right here. We've kind of taken a lot of pride in what we've done. Our kids are very close. You'll never see a group of kids. We were at practice yesterday, just watching them just amongst themselves. They all know each other. I think they all Saturday night they didn't have a game. They went to Longhorns and ate together. Yeah. They just do things together. And it's a small community. I think that's something that makes a program like Dawson County and White County and Lumpkin and all these places, that y'all cover. It gives us a little extra advantage. We may not have the athletes all the time, but we got that little special quality in those kids that really care about it, and the chemistry that matters a lot. Right.
Now let's talk about, you did have a couple of holdover pieces from a year ago, one being Lucas Payne, and he's been a really great senior leader this year that's really stepped up and kind of taken over this team, especially after you lost Jonathan the way you did. Talk about just how pivotal his success and his ability to step up. How important has that been for the Tigers?
Well, I had been real tough on him because I know his potential. He's a big, long wing for us. It gives a lot of mismatch problems. And so Lucas and I spent a lot of time in September and in August and talking about some things this summer, things that we felt like he needed to do to get to the next level. And he knows I've been hard on him and probably too hard on him at times, but I kind of wanted to prepare him for this time, and he has really stepped up. I think he's averaging right now more points than anybody I've ever had in all the times I've coached. He's almost about 17 points a game and pulling about 8 rebounds. And I still think he's got a long way to go. I still think he's got a lot of potential. He's 6'5", 6'6", and he's long, and he handles the ball. And we thought all the dunking and stuff when Tyler graduated, but I think Lucas has made his own highlight reel of that. But he's been a really good leader. He's done some things for us late in the games when he had to take over games, and especially with Jonathan not being on the floor. Lucas is more of a quiet guy. A lot of the guys that we've got are like that. So, he's been real big that he's been able to come in, and then it's also allowed some of our juniors, Levi Whitmire's handling the ball. We got Cameron Milholland came back out, Sam Munchin. Jackson Putnam played a lot of key minutes last year for us. So, those guys have just been extra good for us in this run that we've had.
Yeah, and again, it's worth mentioning Region 7 AAA. This is always one of the toughest regions in the state. And just when you think it couldn't get any more crowded, 7 of the 8 teams are all in the hunt for a playoff spot. I mean, Buford obviously is the front runner. And then you've got yourselves in White County kind of fighting for that number 2 seed for a while, but now Banks County and East Hall have thrown their way into the mix as well, using their height to kind of get there. Talk about how important it is for you guys here in the last handful of games to kind of get a grasp on one of those top 2 spots, maybe going into the region.
We had 2 Final Four teams last year. Buford and North Hall were so good, and then I think we all kind of felt that all the teams were going to be kind of close. I think we probably kind of surprised some folks to be in the mix. I knew White County was going to be there. They had everybody back, and they're deep. East Hall had played so many folks last year. West Hall still had a strong nucleus coming back, and we knew those things. And Banks had returned everybody, the big kids inside and their guards. So Buford's always going to be Buford. They, of course, had a big kid move in, and they kind of set their sides a little bit different than what the rest of the region is. And then Fannon's struggling a little bit, but, again, at the end, they played us close, and they had North Hall last week. So I think it's going to be a toss. And I really don't think it's going to matter where you finish 2-7 now. I think the 2 and the 7 games probably going to be just as competitive as a 3, 4, and 5, and 3, 6 and 4, 5 games. We're all even. I don't think there's anybody, sometimes you can sit down and start looking on paper and say, gosh, I wish this would happen. But things have changed. East Hall and us in White County and are right there. I think we're right there. Tonight's game will mean a lot as far as tiebreakers with them. And then East Hall has us on Friday. That's a tiebreaker with them. And then, of course, we finish up with a very improved Banks team. And then we go on the road to North Hall, and we've got Buford. And it's such a long 3 weeks. A lot of things will change over the next several weeks.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely. And last question for you, Coach. But, kind of talking about this region, and I know you say sometimes you look on paper and wish things were a certain way. Well, next year you get some wishes, I'm sure. Buford's moving out. North Hall's moving out. That talented White County team, they're moving up as well. You'll gain Lumpkin, and you still have East Hall in the mix. So you
Franklin County will be a new mix for us.
Yeah, and you've got some competitive teams next year. But kind of, are you kind of looking forward to next year's region as well? I know you're more concentrated on this season.
Well, I think next year's region I think all the schools will be pretty similar as far as the makeup of the schools and the communities, and I think that's kind of neat. I think we've got a rare situation up here in North Georgia, especially I think in 7 AAA next year. You get communities that really have followed kids since they've grown up. The kids know each other. The schools know each other. Franklin County will be a different different mix for us. That's somebody we haven't played. But we're excited about getting Lumpkin. Of course, we did play them this year. They're our neighbors to the north, and so getting Lumpkin and still keeping the Hall County teams and Banks and those folks, it's going to be I think it'll be a very competitive region. It'll still be good. Basketball's going to be very strong. But I think in all sports, I think you're going to see a very competitive for all 7 or 8 teams that are in the region.
Yeah. All right, well, Coach Burgess, thank you so much again for your time. I always appreciate it.
Okay.
And looking forward to you guys making a deep run in the state playoffs.
I hope so. Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to have a senior here on Blitz, Lucas Payne.